they said some things, and they were saying, man, I wonder why I practice so late. I didn't realize what was going on until I actually went inside. To have this man, there was a study hall before practice. So when they got home, they would just go right to bed. It meant a lot, because a lot of people don't fit. They think that these kids don't put a lot of work in their academics. He stresses academics and excellence to the fullest. I know I always teach my kids, you make a promise, you keep your promise. The promise he made to these kids is he would stay with them and would remain with them for the remainder of this year. To take this away from him, from these kids, is horrible. Absolutely horrible. You know, you're taking away not only from me, you're taking away from his family. Think about all the time that he put in for his family. There's never been anything in this district so far, or any time in this district that an administrator has been given the privileges that he's been given. Has he not fulfilled any of his obligations that was set forth? Can you answer that question? His obligations, yeah, administrative duties. He's coming in as a volunteer. Has he not done everything that he was asked to do as an administrator? I'm asking.
I'm not privileged to talk about. He's only been an administrator a month.
Okay, and he's been given duties. He's been given duties to do, right?
We can't really talk about individuals and whether they're doing a good job or a bad job in public. You can't do that.
Why not?
Because it's not allowed. Okay.
He's done everything that he's been asked to do.
So you can make your statement. You absolutely can make your statement, but the board's not going to respond.
And the reason why I say it as an officer is because I also volunteer my time. I'm in the mentor program with the police department and with the high school. I'm asked to do certain duties, and with that duties, you know, after my shift is over, I go and coach. Okay, they give me that time. Whereas if there's a game and I have to go down to the game, if something comes up, you know what, they call me and I go back to doing my duties as an officer. I know for sure it's not going to interfere with him.
Can I just respond to you for a second?
Sure.
I think it's a given that the community supports him. I'm assuming it's a given that he was more than qualified and that's why he was hired. I'm going to make an assumption that there was bad communication and that when he was placed in a position to make a decision, he didn't necessarily make it with a full and clear picture about what was being proposed to him. So, I think we've come up with a proposed solution, if the board will accept it. So I don't think this is an issue about whether this is an excellent teacher committed to the children with the best interest of the children in mind. This is a situation of bad communication for whatever reason that was not brought to the board's attention until about a half hour ago, and now we have to deal with it. So here is the proposal.
I'd like to make a motion to not accept Mr. Gallio's resignation. Hold on. You may not be clapping until I'm done, but instead, put him on administrative leave until December 1st, continue as a teacher, approve him as a volunteer coach for this year only. And I concur with my partner, Chris. Mixed signals, mixed emotions here tonight. It has nothing to do with how capable Tom is. It's the matter of clearing up the mess. So that's our proposal to make that motion. Once again, I'll state it publicly. I'd like to make a motion to not accept his resignation, but instead put him on administrative leave until December 1st, continue as a teacher, approve him tonight as a volunteer coach for this year only.
I second the motion. I think the one thing that has to be understood is if he takes the position as a principal, then, or as assistant principal, then we can't come back and do this again next year. It's not an option. We're dealing with it. So we're trying to fix a problem that was obviously as a result of bad communication, and I will second Mr. Bruno's motion.
Chris, can I have a point of clarification? If he is put on administrative leave, does that mean he becomes vice principal when that time is up?
December 1st.
December 1st.
The motion says that he will remain as a teacher from now until December 1st. And on December 1st, he goes back to his assistant principal in Manalapan High School.
Is there any possible way that he can return to Manalapan High School as a teacher right now? For him to float, that
is something that we cannot do, as I understand it.
It's a late school, right? Manalapan's a late school?
I'm not getting involved.
No, the motion is on the table. There's no more discussion except by discussion by the board. That's the motion right now.
Can you discuss that?
Could we summarize the motion one more time, please?
Certainly, I'll be very happy to do so. Motion to not accept Mr. Gallagher's resignation, but instead put him on administrative leave until December 1st, continue as a teacher, and approve him tonight as a volunteer coach for this year only.
Okay,
For some reason, I find it necessary to stress that with the understanding that this is not precedent-setting and applies only to this year and this season. As long as everybody understands that.
Make a motion to change the bylaw somewhere. The woman in black. She is Manalapan. But if you don't give it to
Mover and seconder.
Can I have a comment?
We are not even, go ahead, yes, please.
I just want to stress that, that building now has one less assistant principal. And the public have always pressured us on administrative cost, and they've said we don't need 3 principals in our large buildings, and assistant principals, and I feel we really do. So I just want you to be aware that a large building like that will have 2 assistant principals, and I personally feel it's so important. I don't know, I just want this said, so I want my views heard, that the assistant principals are very important, and I feel a large building like yours, it is essential, just so that you're aware of my feelings on that. Okay, thank you.
Can I make a comment? And I know that the assistant principals in that school will work double as hard. I know they're going to have to step up and work double as hard, but when Mr. Gallagher was assistant principal and being coach, he would never jeopardize a student in trouble as his assistant principal duties to go out and coach. He would always make his assistant principal duties come first before he went out.
I'd like to make a comment. I think that, unfortunately, the blame has been placed on the superintendent and possibly the board on this miscommunication. And I would like to publicly state that for 26 years, I was a head coach in this district, and I was always told that if I wanted to be an administrator or a supervisor, I would have to give up coaching. I didn't want to do that. I love coaching. I'm sure Tom loves coaching. So somewhere along the line, someone gave this gentleman the wrong information that has led us here tonight. And I do not believe it was the superintendent. I believe it came from someone else. And I just feel bad that unfortunately Tom has taken the brunt of this, and I hope that someday we find out who gave this gentleman the wrong information.
That is not the board's policy. It's not up before the board right now. The board can change its policy.
We have a very nice police
Mr. Bruno?
who is the baseball coach.
Yes.
On the motion.
Now, how could you have a police?
Mr. Kayas? Mrs. Canario?
Yes.
Because he gets paid.
Mr. Hochberg?
Yes.
So that's
Mrs. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Placentella?
Just with my apologies to the coach.
Mrs. Katara?
Yes.
Mr. Lawson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
coach and to be back in that system.
Back to public comment.
Where does he go?
The next name on the list is Daniel Pantello.
Another all over the big kids. Get ready. They're mad that they took away the
Daniel, give me just a second for things to...
All right, settle down.
Okay, well, I'd like to start out by thanking you guys and everyone here for being given the opportunity to speak before this council and having my opinion heard in front of this congregation. Me and Daron, you've heard from Daron before, we're both on behalf of the Marlboro High School debate team, which unfortunately got cut, as Daron made well known. I'd like to take this time to continue the progression of the disposition shared by my partner Daron and the Marlboro High School debate team. The cuts made to the budget are not something that we can avoid or fix, and it's something that we're going to have to deal with head on. And it's something that we have to find our way to work around it. And we feel that as a team and as a school, as a community, it's unjust that the team has been cut due to the monetary problems. In regards to monetary problems, we've come up with solutions that we'd like to propose to this council. The expenses that were embodied by the debate team include transportation, enrollment into tournaments, and also a funding for a director or coach. There are avoidable expenses in this list, which include transportation, can be met with carpooling, solutions such as that. The money that we ask for, that we can't legally obtain or pay for, is the funding for the advisor, which there are technical issues dealing with how we would fund for that advisor. And as mentioned in the beginning of this meeting, there was a monetary supply that came in that is strictly for the funding for supervisors like the one that I mentioned. Also, from past debates that Daron has mentioned, the Marlboro High School team has played so prestigiously that we've actually gained a sum of money from the debates, and that money is suspended in a bank account that's controlled by Ms. Gallagher, our supervisor from last year. And unfortunately, she's not here because she got fired because of the budget meetings. And we'd like to bring her back with the money that was given to this community for that specific purpose. The Freehold Regional High School has a debate team, and that debate team is funded and still is operating. They're going to debates, and we feel that it's an unfair opportunity. I'd like to mention this is hung up in every classroom in Marlboro High School, and it's something that caught my eye. I felt like I had to mention in front of this congregation. The mission of the Freehold Regional High School District is to develop global lifelong learners through a comprehensive educational program of diverse and enriching opportunities within a supportive environment. We feel that we're not given the supportive environment and these educational opportunities, and as Daron mentioned, we progress as people and we progress intellectually through the debate team, and we feel like we should make it known, and we took it upon ourselves to bring this issue to you and to see what this congregation can do to grant us the equal opportunity that we're seeking. We're relying on this for scholarships. Just like someone can be talented at kicking a soccer ball or running a track or cheerleading for a game, someone can be talented at speech and debate. It's a talent that we have. My grades are mediocre at best, but I'm talented at speech and debate. I'm ranked 5th in the state, and I'd like to continue with this, and I want this issue to be known to this council. Thank you for letting me speak.